You're watching and listening to The Daily Living Show with Dee Elias.
Thank you for tuning in on today's episode of Daily Living. I have with me Dr. V is on my panel of experts, and she's back today. And we're going to be discussing flu. Flu is upon us, and we're going to be discussing the symptoms and herbal remedies and things that you can do to combat the flu. So thank you, Dr. V, for coming and talking about the flu. We'll start about flu shots. And so kind of tell everyone your opinion on the flu shots.
Well, you'll find that anytime that we get to talk, the two of us, everything that I do is very data driven. And so while I'll give you my opinion on it, my opinion is based on the data that's out there. And the data that's out there shows that, unfortunately, the flu shot is just not as effective as we all hope that it would be. Nobody likes to get the flu. And so, if the flu shot was super effective and it didn't have unnecessary toxins in there, unnecessary toxic ingredients that are added, that are additives, I would be the first one in line, because I do not want to get the flu. I've had it before. You've had it before. Like, it can make you feel just absolutely horrible. And on top of that, a lot of times we end up again with co-infections. We end up with upper respiratory issues, we end up with all this other stuff that goes on. So, my opinion, based on the data that's out there, is that, the flu shot is just not as effective as we hope that it would be. And sometimes it can end up actually making people get really, really sick. Fortunately, there are some things that we can do that we're going to be talking about today that can be super ultra effective in preventing and combating the flu, or shortening it, if you are one of the unfortunate ones that ends up getting it.
Right. And it's probably best to start on the remedies when you feel the very first symptoms coming on.
Oh, absolutely. The quicker, right? The quicker that we can get to it, the better. And so, we could go ahead and start with some protocols talking about that if you want.
Absolutely.
So first of all, actually, let's jump back and let's talk about some preventative measures.
Yes.
Because there really are some things we can do as preventative measures that maybe we don't all think about. So one of the biggest things that you can do as a preventative measure to keep your body strong, to keep the immune system strong, is in your foods. It's what you're putting in your body. Are you putting garbage in your body? Or are you putting fuel, like high octane, really good ingredients into your body to keep your immune system strong? So, carbs and sugars are some of the worst things that we can put in our body that can really depress our immune system. Dairy can cause a lot of inflammation, and so can gluten. And so we really want to stay away from those. Those are the top 4 offenders that you can put in your body on a daily basis that can weaken your immune system. And so, but sugars and carbs, let's talk about that for a few minutes, because I just read an article, and in the article there was a doctor who had just written a book, and she was talking about foods you should eat when you're sick, like if you have a cold. And I really couldn't believe what she had written, because it was so wrong and just misinformative. So she was talking about, if you feel the onset of a cold, or you feel the onset of a flu, have some toast, have some cereal, have some carbohydrates. That is absolutely the worst thing you could ever do to your body, especially when you're sick, because carbohydrates turn into sugars. They're basically a complex sugar. And then obviously sugar is sugar, and sugars feed infections. So if you want to have any chance of creating an environment in your body that is hostile to the infections that cause like flu and upper respiratory infections and colds and stuff like that. You want to stay away from sugars and carbohydrates. You don't want to do a lot of that. You should be putting a lot of healthy fats into your body, a lot of vegetables into your body, and some really good amino acids that come from like proteins into your body. So if you're wanting to know what to do for prevention, make sure that you're eating healthy and that you're staying away from carbohydrates and sugars, especially if you're feeling the onset of the flu. That's the worst thing you can do. What you want to do instead are like homemade soups, like homemade chicken soup, not from the can. There's, the can and the label probably have more nutritional value than what's inside the can.
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously, like canned soups is the worst thing that you could do.
Mm.
Do a real soup and make a chicken soup. Don't put the noodles in it. The noodles are just carbohydrates that are going to turn into sugar. Do a really healthy chicken soup with chicken bone broth and a lot of broth in it and a lot of vegetables in there, and then the chicken, and then put your different fresh herbs in there, and drink as much of that chicken broth as you can throughout the day, because the bone broth is very healing for you, and it gives you amino acids that you need so that your body can heal. Amino acids are found in proteins, but typically when we're sick, we lose our hunger, don't we? Like we lose our appetite when we're really sick.
Right.
So where are we going to get those amino acids that we need? You can get them in bone broth. That would be the same as like, eating meat. You're actually getting, pretty much a complete amino acid profile from drinking bone broth all day. You want to stay away from juices. So we were all taught, when you're sick, have orange juice so you can get vitamin C. But that's another one of the worst things that you could do, because orange juice is full of sugar.
Yeah.
So if you want to get your vitamin C in, eat some bell peppers. But if you're feeling sick, you've typically lost your appetite, the best thing you could do is just to get some chewable vitamin C. And so those are some of the things that you definitely want to do. If you're not hungry when you're sick, that's okay. Your body is diverting a lot of its energy to trying to heal itself. So do a lot of bone broth, do a lot of herbal teas, drink a lot of water. Don't worry about eating a lot if you're not feeling well, but you need to keep yourself hydrated, and you need to get some nutrition in your body, and warm bone broth is very easy to drink, even if you're not hungry and you're feeling sick. So that would be good. The other thing too is, we're all going to the grocery store in the winter, like all year, right? But in the winter when people are sick, think about how many people are going to the grocery store when they're sick.
Germs are everywhere.
Oh my gosh, they're everywhere. And the handles of the carts are full of just they're full of bacteria and just nasty stuff that you're coming into contact with. And you don't know if the produce guy or the person putting stuff on the shelf is like going to work and she's got the flu, and bless her heart, like maybe he or she has to go to work because they've got to get their paycheck, so they're working even when they're sick. And so it's not ideal, but it's just a fact that it happens. Desktops are full of bacteria. Children are exposed to so many germs every day. There are more germs found on a desktop than you would ever imagine. We cultured a lot of desktops when I was going through my doctorate program. In fact, we went around the entire university and we took cultures. Like we were swabbing different areas, and then we were putting it on a petri dish to see what would grow. And the bathrooms actually had the least amount of bacteria in them. Wow. We always think, oh my gosh, the bathrooms are full of nasty stuff. But no, it was the desktops. And then the tabletops in the restaurants that were at the university were full of bacteria. The heater lights, the heating lamps where the food, how they put the food under the heating lamps. Oh my God, the stuff that was growing under there. The restaurants were so angry at us because we published all of this. They were so angry because nobody would go in there and eat once they found out what was growing in there. And so, once we discovered where a lot of these things were growing, then we would take these cultures, and we found everything from strep to staph to, like flu. Like we found all kinds of nasty stuff that we were able to identify growing in the petri dish. Then we took it and we spread it on different, in a lab, in a protected lab environment. We took these different infections and we spread them out on the desk. And then we took different types of cleaners to see which type of cleaner was going to be the most effective at actually getting rid of the infection. So we use things like 409, Formula 409.
Right.
We used Comet Cleaner. We used bleach. We used, all different kinds of stuff like that. And what we found, ironically, that worked the best was elbow grease. So, elbow grease was just a simple formula like Ivory soap. But elbow grease, meaning you scrub it.
Right.
Just a simple spraying it and thinking that the chemical in the spray is going to kill the bacteria, that does not work. And we knew this because we did the test. So we would spray it, wipe it, then we would reculture the countertop area that we had contaminated, and sure enough, the same bacteria was growing back on the petri dish. And so we learned that rubbing, so if you really want to clean your hands, right, you want to put it, you don't have to put a harsh chemical soap on your hands. What you need to do is put something that acts as a surfactant. So like, Ivory soap, it's a nice lathery soap. There's no harsh chemicals in it. And you rub your hands together like this, rub them really good, really, really good, and then rinse them really good, and then dry them really good. That's going to get rid of any contaminating bacteria that you may have come into contact with. And it's the same thing with your countertops. So, if you want to really clean your counters at home, or if you're working at a desktop every day, you spray it with a cleaner, but you need to really rub it. It's so that you can get it clean. This was many years ago, before essential oils really came, onto the market and became more popular. So we never did this test using essential oils, but we know that essential oils have amazing antimicrobial properties. And so I wanted to show you this. This is from doTERRA. This is a product called On Guard. And this product comes in many different forms. You can buy it, like this is the cleaner concentrate. And so you put a cap full in a big spray bottle, and you can use it for your counters, your floors, your bathrooms. You can use it for everything. And you could actually consume this, because all it is different essential oils. So it has clove, it has cinnamon, it has eucalyptus, it has different essential oils that are known to have antimicrobial actions. In fact, clove is such a potent antimicrobial. We use it in combination with other botanicals and herbals to get rid of parasite infections that we have in our patients. Clove is very, very powerful antimicrobial. Wow. And from doTERRA, they also have a spray that you can take. So this is a one that I just took when I just did a big trip to New York, full of germs, I'm sure, in that big city, right? So, I mean, people walk around New York with masks on. But this is On Guard, and it's in the spray form, so you can just like spray it on your hands. And I use this when I'm at the airport, and I use it when I'm in the bathroom too, because I don't like to use the soaps that are at the airports and at the stores, because they're actually very toxic. That's a whole nother talk, though. They're super toxic. As soon as they touch your skin, there are toxins in those commercial soaps that can really make people sick. So, so I'll use this. And so you can actually put it in your purse. And so these are some preventative measures that we can take, right? So foods, and knowing how to, really clean your hands and the areas that you're working around.
Right. The other bottle that you mix with water, that would be good to spray doorknobs, light switches, kids' toys.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Because this is not toxic. I mean, you can use this. You can even use this on your dishes. It's not toxic. So if you're hand washing your dishes, you would put like three tablespoons in the sink along with the hot water, and you can wash your dishes with this. You can wash the kids' toys with this. You want to use things that are not toxic, but that are going to be effective. And so I love this. And there are other brands out there. doTERRA is not the only brand. There are other ones out there as well. But this is just one that I so happen to use that I really love.
You could even get the essential oils and kind of mix it yourself at home.
You absolutely could.
I think that would be fantastic for daycares, kindergarten, first grade, where kids are playing and they're, they're passing around germs each
Yeah.
day. That could spray those toys down and stuff and keep the germs at a minimum.
That's true. That's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And without harming the children's nervous system or immune
Absolutely.
systems from the toxic chemicals that are currently being used. Yeah, absolutely. And then, so what do we do? Um, what else can we do, like maybe with supplements to help prevent flu? Vitamin D. Let's talk about that, because vitamin D is not very well known as a supplement that can be used to help strengthen the immune system. But most people in this country are deficient in vitamin D, even if they live in the lower latitude states, like Alabama, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Arizona. Even if they live in the more sunny states, we are finding that people are very deficient in their vitamin D. And so, when you're looking at what is a healthy vitamin D range, you want to look at a functional range, because the traditional medical, Western medical model range is not optimal for keeping your body healthy. Okay, so for example, the Western medicine range of where vitamin D should be is between 30 and 100. Okay, and if you're down at 30, that's enough to keep you from like really ending up with some sort of vitamin D disease that's from, or like, from like a disease that's due to a vitamin D deficiency. That's not enough to keep you healthy. In the functional range, we like to see people between 60 and 100, not 30 to 100, 60
Right.
and 100. And I always tell everybody, let's try to keep you really between 80 and 100, especially during cold and flu season, especially if you're traveling a lot, especially if you already have some sort of autoimmune issue going on, right? Or if you're having a lot of stress, let's keep the levels higher. I've even done that with my cancer patients. We keep it at around 100, even a little bit over 100.
Right.
And we've actually seen the cancer not come back. With this, there's several things that we do. It's not just vitamin D, but we keep the vitamin D levels up higher. And so knowing that, almost everybody in the United States is falling in the 20, 30, 40 range with their vitamin D, let's put everybody on a vitamin D. Everybody should be on a vitamin D. If you're working with a holistic practitioner who can monitor your vitamin D levels, you'll probably find that a lot of practitioners like myself, I put almost everyone, I would say 98% of all of my patients are taking 10,000 IU a day of vitamin D just to maintain around that 70 or 80
Right.
range. I mean, and that sounds like a lot, right? But your body uses it like a car, like a high performance car uses gas. Your body
Mhm.
uses it every day. So you need to keep putting it in. And there are some genetic mutations that don't allow your body to synthesize vitamin D. So even if you are out in the sun every day, 15 to 20 minutes without sunscreen so that your body can make its own,
Right.
if you have that vitamin D gene mutation, that could be a reason why, even if you're getting a lot of sun, that you still have low in vitamin D. So a vitamin D with K is a really good approach. Always take a D with K. And you can find those combinations. We like to use one. So there are several good ones out there, but Metagenics has a really good 5,000 IU vitamin DK and 10,000 IU vitamin DK.
Wow.
So for an adult, if you're working with a practitioner who can monitor your levels, I would say, you're probably going to end up on a 10,000 IU a day. If you're not working with a practitioner, you're probably better off doing the 5,000 IU a day just to make sure that you don't end up going too high, because every now and then we will have a patient who, when they take 10,000 IU a day, it takes them way up over 100. And that's, while that's not common, it can happen, and we don't want to get too much vitamin D because that can make you sick, like that can cause problems. So 5,000 IU would be good. But when you're going into the winter season, and if you've never taken vitamin D before, if you, first of all, take 5,000 IU a day. And if you notice the onset of symptoms and you're just starting to feel just a little bit, take 50,000 IU a day for 3 days. We
Right.
do that with our clients. We do that ourselves. Everyone in my family knows to do that. All my staff, they know to do that. And so that may sound like a lot, but that's just for 2 or 3 days that you take that, and then you go back to your regular 5,000 IU a day after that. That can really help knock off an infection very, very quickly.
That's awesome. Is there a certain vitamin D's? Like, I know some vitamins that are on the shelf are synthetic and they're not good for you. They really don't absorb in your body like they should.
This is true. And there are some synthetic ones that are really good, and the only way you can really make it is synthetically. So it just, I think what's important is to make sure that you get a good brand. Don't buy your stuff at Walgreens, please.
Right.
Do not buy your stuff at Walgreens. Don't go to GNC, like run the other way. Sorry, GNC, but the products are just not very high quality. Don't buy your stuff at Costco or Randall's. Get your stuff that has the good manufacturer practice label on it, that's GMP certified. Make sure that it's something that's used by practitioners. And if you can find it on Amazon, good. But it's always best to do it through a practitioner, because you're going to be guaranteed that it's that it hasn't been stored in the heat, like vitamin D, for example. If you're buying, even if you buy the good brand, like the good brand from Designs for Health or Metagenics, for example, or Apex Energetics. Let's say that you find it on Amazon. You think, oh, this is, $3 cheaper or $4 cheaper. I'm going to buy it from them. But, first of all, it shouldn't be sold unless it shouldn't be sold on Amazon. So there's a lot of black market people that are selling things that shouldn't be sold that way. And if they've been storing that vitamin D in the trunk of their car, or in a unclimatized storage, that vitamin D is heat labile, meaning it's going to go rancid, it's going to go bad sitting in the heat. Then they could be selling you a product that's not good. So if you're buying it through a practitioner, if you're buying it through a better site or a better place, then that you're getting a good quality supplement. And so that's what I would say, is just make sure that you're getting something good quality. And that's why I like to throw out some of the names of some of the stuff that we use, because, if you've got listeners that are going on their own journey, like, at least they know a good quality supplement, and they can go find a local place where they can go buy it. A lot of times there are, little like health type pharmacies in little towns that are popping up all over the place, where they're selling good quality products like that, or they can get themselves established with a holistic doctor as their primary doctor, right? Who can work with them on all kinds of issues that they would have never even guessed that, oh, I didn't know you could fix this, and I didn't know you could fix that. And they'll always have access to products like that.
Right.
Vitamin A is another one. Vitamin A is something that a lot of people don't even think to take that. But vitamin A, when you get into cold and flu season and upper respiratory season where everybody's getting sick, taking some vitamin A every day is a great idea. And I would say, taking 10,000 IU a day is a really, great idea that you can take that. You shouldn't have any problems. If 10,000 IU a day started to be too much for you, you would probably notice that your skin would start turning a little bit orange. So just back down on your dose. But I mean, we, when we're working with people, and again, I'm not recommending that anybody take this dose unless they're working with somebody, necessarily, but just to give you an idea, we'll do 50 to 100,000 IU a day for 3 or 4 days with people that are sick. So, if you feel, again, the onset that you're getting sick, you could take 50,000 IU a day of vitamin D, DK, and then, D3K2 specifically. And we like the one from Metagenics. And then you could do that for like 3 days, and you could do the same thing with that same dose, taking like 50,000 IU of vitamin A for 3 days. Right. And the one that I like is the Liquid A from Apex Energetics. It comes in a small little dropper bottle, and it's just vitamin A. It's liquid vitamin A, and it's great. You just, take a dropper full and put it in your mouth, and you can do that for 3 or 4 days. And then Biocidin is really good. Biocidin is a broad spectrum antimicrobial, and you and I talked about that in one of our episodes where we discussed H. pylori.
Yes.
So we would use Biocidin as like an antibiotic, but it's antiviral, antibacterial, antiparasitic. antifungal. So it's really, really good. And biocidin has a lot of different ingredients in it that are botanicals and herbals that are really great at getting rid of infections. And so, you can jump on that. And then there's colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is an amazing product that can be used. And especially when it comes to cold and flu season, we have a cold and flu protocol that we send out every year when we get into the season. And we just sent it out in our newsletter that went out a couple of days ago, where we sent out the entire protocol for anyone who signed up on our newsletter, so that they could have, not only see the protocol, but have access to actually, buy the products from a good source.
Right.
And colloidal silver is an amazing antimicrobial. It's been used for years and years. Even during World War II, nurses, the nurses in the U.S. Military were using them on the soldiers to help get rid of infections. And colloidal silver, you can use it topically. You can swallow it, and you can even use it in a nebulizer. And a nebulizer is like a little breathing device that a lot of people will use if they have like asthma, for example.
Uh-huh.
And you can actually, there's a protocol that, again, if people want to sign up for our newsletters, we're going to be sending it out in emails throughout the entire winter so that people can order it. We recommend people order their little kit of what they need to keep in their medicine cabinet as we go into cold and flu season. We like to recommend, don't wait till you need it, because by the time you need it, it's going to take 5 days to get it shipped to you. Like, buy it and keep it in your cabinet now.
Absolutely.
And but you can put a small amount of colloidal silver in the medicine cup in your nebulizer, and then you can add a few drops of food grade hydrogen peroxide, and you can breathe that in. And not only will it knock out any type of upper respiratory or even lower respiratory infection, it'll knock it out like that, but it also will go systemic into your body, and it will help get rid of of flu and cold infections that are affecting you. And it just works so amazingly. So we like to combine our nebulizer treatment with the colloidal silver and the hydrogen peroxide with biocidin, vitamin A, and vitamin D. It's a wonderful protocol. All of our patients and many of our listeners will keep that in their medicine cabinet year round, but especially as we go into the winter season. Right. Because it just works absolutely amazing. I can't tell you how many respiratory infections that we've been able to knock out using that protocol. And we've been able to really shorten, instead of the flu lasting 10 days, people are able to knock it out in 3 to 4 days.
Where can someone find the food grade peroxide?
They can find it online. You can find it, just look up, food grade hydrogen peroxide.
Because I know that it's different than what you can go to a convenience store and buy.
Yeah. So you would just look it up online and make sure, as long as it says food grade, that's one of the things that you can buy pretty much anywhere online. If it says food grade, that you'll be fine. And it's not sensitive to the heat. You just want to make sure when you get it in the mail that you make sure that it's not expired. So you just want to look at the expiration date, and you want to make sure. And then there's one more thing I wanted to tell you about that I discovered about a year ago that works so well for helping to eliminate congestion. So a lot of us think about Mucinex, like something like that, right? To help break up the congestion in our chest, because that can just make us feel absolutely miserable with all the coughing and stuff. But there's an herbal called Elecampane. It's hard to pronounce, but I can send it to you so that you can see it.
Okay.
And it's an herbal product that you can take that will help really break up the mucus. Now, it's really important whether you're taking something from the doctor to help break up the mucus, or you're using something over the counter like Mucinex, or if you're taking this particular herbal. It's really important that you drink plenty of water. And knowing that most people are in a state of dehydration, chronic dehydration, you have to realize that when you're sick and you have congestion, it doesn't matter what medication or botanical that you take. If you're not drinking enough water with it, it's not going to break up the mucus.
Right.
And the infections hide in the mucus. So you really want to make sure that you can break that up and get it out.
Right. I would also like to touch on when people are on the onset of flu, they might feel fever. And I know that as long as it's a low grade fever, they probably should not try to take something because low grade is your body trying to fight the infection and do its job.
That is absolutely so true. So, yeah, let's talk about fevers for a minute. The fever is not the bad guy. The fever is your body. It's exactly what you said. It's your body's response to trying to kill the invading infection that's in there,
Mm-hmm.
and the body innately knows that, if it detects a bacteria or virus or something that's in there that doesn't belong, one of the things that it can do is it can raise its core temperature, which will kill it. Just like if we boil our water, we can kill the infection. So our,
Right.
our body is so incredibly intelligent. Our body knows exactly what it needs to do. And so, if we're talking about that, you know, adults, we don't handle fever very well. I mean, if we get up to 99, if we get like 1 degree above where we need to be, our whole body hurts and it absolutely feels terrible. But think about what your body's doing. Your body can only heal when you're sleeping. Your body does not heal when you're awake. So what happens when you end up getting a fever? Your body starts going into hibernation mode and you feel exhausted, like you need to lay down. The worst thing you can do is take coffee and go to work. You
Right.
need to go straight to bed with a bunch of bone broth by your side. You need to have water and bone broth. You need to go lay down and you need to go to sleep. Allow your body to have the fever. I know it feels horrible, but let your body have it, because that's going to help you to get over it faster. Take your vitamin D, take your vitamin A, do your colloidal silver breathing treatments twice a day. We've got the whole protocol on how to do it written, that we're going to be
Right.
sending out to everybody every month throughout the whole winter season.
Right.
And let your body sleep. And the same thing goes with children. Now, children can handle fevers much better than adults, which is awesome. And children innately, they typically don't fight their urge to sleep when they're sick like we do, because we feel
Right.
like all these things in life are pressing, like we've got to go to work, we've got to go to the dry cleaners and all
Right.
that. Just stay home and listen to your body. But if you will allow the child to have the fever, instead of taking Motrin or Tylenol, you are doing your child a huge service, because your child will develop a very strong immune system, and your child will be able to fight off things like the flu in 3 days, where everybody else in the classroom is sick for an entire 7, 8, 9, 10 days.
Right.
And so, but monitor the fever, just like you mentioned. So with kids, there are a lot of people who say that, don't let it get over like 103, because, once it gets over 103, it could cause, it could cause you to start to have some neurological issues go on. It can start to cause some damage to the brain. Some people will say going as high as even 104, but you have to play it where you feel that you're comfortable. Now, this is one of the things that you can do, though. Do you have to run and jump on Motrin as soon as it hits 103? No. There are things that you can do. Cold compresses on the head, cold compresses on the neck. You start taking the body, with the cold, with cold water, and let the body cool off. Put the fan on. I know it's uncomfortable, but that can cool the body off. The other thing that you can do is you can get into a cool bath so that it will cool the body temperature. So you monitor the temperature. We don't want to get rid of the temperature. We just don't want it to get too high.
Right.
A perfect example was when I lived in Germany. My son was born there. And my son ended up getting really, really sick when he was an infant. And instead of going to the military hospital, which I'd had some horrible experiences in the military hospitals. And so when my son got really sick, I decided to go to the German hospital. And as we know, the Germans have wonderful, wonderful medical care there. Well, that was my first discovery. This was back like 27 years ago. That was my first discovery into natural, more holistic methods, because the medical doctors and the surgeons and the nurses, they did not give my son not one dose of Tylenol or Motrin. They didn't give him any antibiotics. Instead, they started giving him botanicals to get rid of the infections, and they were using the cold compresses and the cooling baths to control his temperature. And so, and I, I was very fortunate that started a lot of my pathway into the type of work that I do, because I was amazed to see that a modern day hospital did not touch antibiotics. They didn't even use it. They said it's not necessary for him. What he has can be, his own body can fix this, and we're going to support it with botanicals and herbals, and we're going to let his body have the fever, but we don't want it to get too high. And we can do that with our children, and we can do that with ourselves. And if we do that, we are helping our own immune system to become stronger.
Absolutely. And it was effective.
It was super effective. I was absolutely amazed. And I've been telling that story for 27 years. I was just amazed by it. And I like I said, it was my first experience with, with a whole different mindset around how to work with the body instead of trying to give the body a bunch of medications.
Right. And you said 3 important vitamins for the flu symptoms, and especially when you feel the symptoms coming on, is vitamin C, vitamin D, and vitamin A. And I know vitamin C, you can get some good gummies that even the children like to chew to help keep their immune system up.
Absolutely. Try to find ones that really don't have sugar in them, or less than a gram of sugar. Like, we don't want a ton of sugar inside of the vitamin C.
Right.
If you can get the vitamin C combined with like rose hips or bioflavonoids, that's going to help the vitamin C to work much better. And you can so let's talk about dosing on vitamin C. Unlike vitamin D and vitamin A, you can't really overdose on vitamin C and get sick from it. The worst that'll happen is you'll end up with diarrhea. Right. And so once you've hit your limit with vitamin C, the limit is when you start having like watery stools, and then you back down. So, some people can handle taking 10,000, 15,000 IU a day, or milligrams a day of vitamin C, before they'll start to have diarrhea. But if you take 10,000 over the course of a day and you start having watery stools, then, back down to 8,000 and see if you still have watery stools. If you still have watery stools, back down to 7,000, and again, even if you choose to continue taking a really high dose while you're sick and you just decide to deal with the watery stools, that's fine. It's not going to hurt you. Just make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, because we don't want you to get dehydrated. Now, vitamin D and vitamin A, those are fat soluble vitamins. And which means that if you get too much over the course of a long period of time, you can, it can be hard on your liver. It can cause some negative side effects that can be unhealthy for you. And so that's why we talked about earlier about, if you're working with a practitioner who understands how to use these natural things, in a way that's actually going to be effective for you. If you're working with somebody, you can typically go a little higher because you've got somebody who's working with you, and they'll know how to dose you and for how long and all of that. But if you're doing it on your own, that's why I say, 5,000 IU vitamin DK every day. And if you're feeling sick, you can bump up to 50,000 IU for 3 days, just 3 days, right? Yeah. And then go back down to your regular dose. And the same thing for the vitamin A. You can take a smaller dose, like 8 to 10,000 IU a day. But if you get sick, you can bump it up to 50,000 IU for 3 days, and then you come back down on that.
Right. For those who may be listening and not watching, tell us your website.
My website is modernholistichealth.com. And if you go to the website, there is a place where you can sign up for our newsletters if you want. Right. And we send out so much awesome information. Like, for example, I mentioned that over the course of the entire winter, we will be sending out regular emails that has our cold and flu protocol and how you can order those supplements and how to take them, what time of day to take them, all of that. But we also send out really relevant information on all things health, from, talking about, underlying causes of anxiety and depression, to going, diving deep into thyroid issues, to, gluten-free, sugar-free, paleo type baking recipes as we go into the holidays. So that for those who have like celiac disease or people who have gluten sensitivities or gluten allergies, so that they have some really fun, great recipes of things that they can make over the holidays. So we always have really relevant information that people can plug into if they want to.
Right. I think that's awesome. And hopefully before too long, we can do another show about celiac and also Crohn's disease.
That sounds wonderful.
Absolutely. And if there is a topic they would like for us to cover, they can leave it in the comment section below, or send me an email through the website, and I'll be happy to try to touch on that topic to help someone out there with a holistic approach, which I think is just very important. Okay, so thank you, Dr. V, very much. It's a lot of great information about the flu, and flu season is definitely upon us. So that spray with the clove and everything, I think that's awesome to spray phones, doorknobs, light fixtures, toys. There's just everything. You could just spray everything.
Absolutely. Spray it all.
Your hands.
And your hands. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. And Dr. V, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
Please support our sponsor, renovationtea.com. You'll find a large variety from daily to specific herbal remedy teas, all certified organic and fair trade. Use DL10 to get a 10% discount. You can find details in the description below. If you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss an episode.